I was recently asked, how much should I actually be paying for my rent or mortgage? And if your answer to that question is, as much as my landlord will let me, congrats. You're probably broke and you don't know it yet. We need to talk. Oddly enough, this question came up 3 times in the last month, so I felt like I had to answer it. In your 20s, this comes up when you're just starting to make money and figure it out. But in your 30s and 40s, it also creeps up when your life circumstances change. New jobs, new divorces, new life changes, and just goals in general. Rent prices seem wild, home prices feel fake, and everyone on Instagram somehow has their entire place looking like a professional interior designer lives there. When my first few places had a Scarface poster as my nicest aesthetic, I thought I was cultured. I'm not a money magician, but I have screwed this up personally, so let's save you from doing the same. Okay, story time. Picture this, 2011. I'm making a whole $37,835 a year. I thought it was a great idea to move to downtown Denver in a nice new apartment. Let's be honest, it was still in the shittier part of town, but it was technically downtown and had a fitness center and a pool. And that was all that mattered because it meant that I looked cool and I was living in luxury. It was a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom for $1,100 a month. I thought, perfect. Between my boyfriend and I'll only pay $550 of my portion. Genius plan, right? Except then there's the parking fee and utilities and the rental insurance they required. Oh, and I thought I'd be smart to get a pet. So add on pet deposit, pet rent. No one told my dog, Otto, that he was supposed to have a job to help me pay for this. And you know what's really messed up? I convinced myself I was being financially responsible because I bought my furniture on Craigslist instead of Westtown. Like, congrats to me for going broke at a discount, I guess. At the time, I was making just over $2,000 a month take home. I still had student loans, credit card debt, a car loan. I was literally one breakup away from 100% not being able to afford to live at that place on my own. Back in 2011, trust me, there were tons of options for other one-bedroom apartments that would have been half the cost. The location and amenities made my decision. Not logic, not reality. That year, when my company offered me a 401k, I remember telling them, I have student loans. I don't have extra money to think about investing in my future. Or 1,000% at least I said that in my head. Probably not aloud. But if I was being honest with myself, I had plenty of money. I chose to just spend it pretending to look rich in my luxury apartment and my fitness center. I used maybe twice. So yeah, I've been there. And let's make sure you don't make the same mistake. I'm a big believer in the 50-30-20 rule. Here's what it means in plain English. 50% of your take-home pay equals your needs, 30% wants, and 20% savings and investing. And if you're a visual person, think of this. Imagine a paycheck is a pizza. Half the pizza is for your survival. Rent, food, getting to work, not dying. 30% is for actually enjoying your life. 20% is for future you who's going to be really pissed off if you ate their slices now. Your housing cost lives within that 50%, not next to it, inside of it. When I say housing, I don't just mean rent and mortgage. Housing includes your rent and mortgage payment, of course, your property taxes, insurance, basic utilities, parking if it was required, HOA fees, pet rent, insurance, basic utilities. So if you're only looking at rent and ignoring the rest, you're lying to yourself, respectfully, of course. Here is the simple math most people skip. Housing should be around that 25% of your take-home pay. Why not 50%, you ask? Because you still have food, you still have to buy transportation, insurance, some of you minimum debt payments like I had with my student loans. Life is happening. If housing eats up that 40 or 50% of the entirety, then you're not bad with money, you're just going to be really, really house poor. So let's get a real example. Let's say your take home is $4,000 a month. 50% of your needs equals $2,000. Your housing target should be $1,000. If your rent is $1,600, here's the truth. You're stealing from your savings, you're stealing from having future fun, and just general peace of mind. Every single month, that money is coming from somewhere. So let's do the actual math on where it's coming from. Well, you're supposed to save that $800 a month. Now it's $400. You're supposed to have $1,200 for wants, dinners out, hobbies, concerts. Now we have to cut that back to $800. So you're either not saving or you're sitting at home every weekend because you can't afford to do anything. And then you wonder, why am I miserable? I have this beautiful apartment. Okay, but here's where it gets tricky. I know what you're thinking, but rent is insane. You don't know how expensive my city is, Tiamo. Or I work really hard. I want a nice place to come home to. Or I've also heard, it's just a little bit more expensive than what else was out there. Or the last, I just want a nice place. All valid, but there's still math. So real talk. I know some of the cities like San Francisco, New York, LA, where maybe 2,000 gets you a closet with a hot plate. So let's get specific. If you're in an expensive city and your housing has to be, let's say 35 or 40% of your take home, fine. But here is what that actually means. You're intentionally choosing zero savings for a few years. You just need an exit plan that knowing that this can't be forever. I've seen people do this successfully. I've also seen people do this and end up 32 years old at $400 in their savings account because they never left the expensive city and their salary didn't keep pace with what their rent increases were. That's not a judgment, just math catching up. If the numbers don't work, your options really are, when your lease is up or you're looking for a new place, find a cheaper place, get roommates, get a higher income, always nice. Smaller savings investments, you could do that temporarily. Please just do that as a temporary option only. What doesn't work is pretending that the extra money that you're putting towards your rent or mortgage will not catch up with you. 3 mistakes I had sadly seen all the time. I'll get famous on OnlyFans. I'm just kidding. Number 1, the I'll make more money soon trap. You sign a lease assuming you'll get a promotion, that raise, that side hustle income. Maybe you will, but if you don't, you're stuck for 12 months. Don't budget based on imaginary future income. Also, people think, I'm going to be in this relationship forever. You rent a nicer place with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and then they move out, and now all of a sudden you can't afford that place on your own. Number 3, lifestyle creep. It's a lie. I'm making more money now so I can afford rent. Cool. But if your rent went from $1,000 to $1,600 and your income with that big raise went from $50,000 to $65,000, you just erased your entire raise on rent. You're not getting ahead. You're treading water in maybe a nicer pool. Then there's forgetting move-in costs. First month, last month, security deposit, just the general moving costs of moving trucks, new furniture because your old stuff either doesn't fit in or doesn't fit the vibe. That affordable apartment just costs you $4,000 upfront. Do you have it? Are you putting it on a credit card and telling yourself you'll pay it off soon? The same rule if you're buying instead of renting. If your mortgage and taxes and insurance and maintenance push you past that 25% range, you're not building wealth, you're building stress. And if you're thinking about buying, the pressure is even worse because everyone acts like home ownership is this magical wealth building thing. And it absolutely can be. It has been for me. But not if the mortgage breaks you every single month. I know people who bought houses that they could technically afford according to the bank. The bank approved them for $450,000. They bought for $420,000 thinking, look, I'm being responsible. Then the water heater died. Then property taxes went up. Then they wanted to take a vacation. But guess what? They couldn't afford it because they're house poor. The bank will approve you for way more than you should actually spend. Their job is to lend you money, hopefully the most amount of money, not protect your sanity or your future. Buying a house that breaks you monthly is not a flex. Here's what to actually do with this information. Pull up your last month's bank statement right now. I'll wait. Now look at that. What did you actually take home after taxes? Multiply that number by 25%. That is your target housing number. Now look at your actual rent or mortgage. Are you within $100 or $200 of that target? You're fine. Breathe. If you're $300 or $500 over, you have got a problem, but it's fixable. If you're $800 plus over that number, you are in a danger zone, like one emergency away from a crisis danger. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to wake you up. If you're over it, don't panic, but do make a plan. Can you get a roommate now or when your lease is up? Can you negotiate an increase in your salary in the next 6 months? Can you move further out of town and get a deal with maybe a little bit of a longer commute? None of these are fun options, but they're real options. And making an intentional choice beats accidentally going broke. So if you were about to move, looking for a new apartment, or about to buy a home and asking, how much should I pay for rent or mortgage? You now have the answer. So again, 25% of your take-home pay inside that 50% needs bucket. Anything more better come with a really intentional trade-off. Like maybe you live so close to work, you can walk to work and never need transportation ever again. Because here's what nobody tells you. Decisions like this that you make about your housing in your 20s and 30s is the difference between being 45 with options or being 45 and stuck. Stuck in a job you hate because you need the paycheck. Stuck unable to help your parents when they need it. Stuck watching your friends retire early while you're still grinding. Housing is the biggest line item in your budget. Get this one wrong and everything else is just rearranging those deck chairs on the Titanic. If this helped you, drop a comment with your city and your biggest housing mistake. Mine was obviously that downtown Denver apartment and my unemployed dog. And if you've got a money question you want answered honestly, send it my way. Real money questions answered honestly, no pretending I've always had it together.